national trial attorney Michael Jaafar. And Michael, do you think it might help at all that, again, there was just testimony that Lori paid for some of Chad's trips, and this theory that Chad has put forward of it was Alex Cox, it was Lori, it wasn't me, could that help the defense in any way?
Of course it could, right? They still have to prove the conspiracy. I agree with Philip, right? Philip explained what they're trying to prove, right? But of course, Chad Daybell has a defense. We all know, well, for some of the viewers that don't know, once you get into a conspiracy, you can't get out of it, right? Not that you can't get yourself out of it. By law, you're in that conspiracy. Even if you check out and say, hey, I didn't sign up for this, and the event continues, you're still stuck with it, right? But yes, it could help the defense. It absolutely can help the defense, because at the end of the day, Judge Ashley, there's something missing in this case that wasn't missing in the other case. These were not Chad Daybell's kids, right? Yeah. You could look at Lori Daybell and say, hey, you were in Hawaii, you were getting married, your kids were missing. What were you thinking? And obviously, the jury ended up convicting her, right? They can't do that with Chad Daybell, because at the end of the day, she was his mistress, and these were not his kids. So I do think this could help him tremendously.
So what do you think about this? I think this is a win for the defense. Right before we came back for cross-examination, the attorneys were talking to the judge outside the presence of the jury, on the record, of course, and here was the conclusion of a discussion about what the defense could ask or couldn't ask, and the judge said, bottom line, the defense cannot get into details of a conviction of Alex Cox because it was long enough ago, he didn't find it relevant. However, given the questions asked, he said the defense can ask the reason why Alex Cox could not purchase a firearm and the underlying reason about whether or not he had any felony convictions. The answer being he couldn't purchase firearms because of his felony conviction. I think, Michael, that's a huge win for the defense that they're allowed to ask even those limited questions.
I think it's a massive win for the defense, and you reminded me of one of my first cases. The senior attorney was a former judge, right? And we were defending a rape case, and the victim had done 15 years for attempted murder, and we knew that it couldn't get admitted, but the judge wanted the jury to hear him ask the question, right? And so he was able to ask some questions about the prior conviction. It led to an acquittal of the defendant, right? It's always beneficial for your client as a defense attorney if you could ask a question about somebody who's not involved in that case, outside of the case, who has done a heinous act in the exact situation that your client is in. It's always beneficial.
Wow. So, Michael, it also leads to one of my next questions, which is, what does this have to do with Chad? So far, so what if Lori's getting the money, be it lawfully or unlawfully?
You know, Philip is right, and he kind of started the point that I was going to make, which is, why was the defense attorney so colorfully objective to pretty much most of the things that were admitted with the timeline and the airline travel, but not so much now? And right now, it's actually even more relevant, and he could actually come back with the same exact objections, right? Well, hey, wasn't she allowed to get the money? By the way, she's not even on trial. What does this have to do with my client and whether or not my client conspired with her to kill her own kids? So I fully agree. I'm a little bit puzzled. He's got a great defense attorney. I'm a little bit puzzled by this, Judge Ashley.
All right, still with us, Philip Dubé, Michael Jaafar. Michael, let me go to you. I just want to get your impressions of that tape. I know I have mine, but I don't want to taint it in any way. I just want to hear what you think about it.
I think Chad Daybell, I think that this tape obviously just shows exactly the situation and the predicament he put himself in with this web of people and females and followers on and hangers on and Lori, and I keep thinking to myself, Michael, why did they're clearly throwing her under the bus right now? Why didn't he file for a divorce? He's got ample legal attorneys. He's got great advice. So this tape to me just puts him right in the center of it. Early on in the show, Philip Dubé said, the travel shows that they're laying breadcrumbs that end in the final pay dirt, which is they found the charred remains of the kids on his property. He's so in this thing. He's so invested in it. He's in the middle of the conspiracy based on the way this thing looks. As I think that video did not do him any favors. It kind of put him even more so into the middle of things, right into the thick of things. So that's my impression on this, Michael.